I've had a blast covering the camp. I think it's been a very entertaining camp this year. There's a lot of new players to keep an eye on, so I've enjoyed it. But I have to admit, the last couple days of camp, it's like, okay, I'm ready for something new here, and I'm sure the players are. And now here we have something new tonight. The Jets are coming to town. I know it's only a preseason game, and we're not going to see a lot, but there are some guys on this Eagles team that I'm looking forward to seeing, especially the new guys. I want to see Nakobe Dean, who I expect is going to play a pretty good amount just because he doesn't have a starting role at this point. So I think he'll play quite a bit. I think we'll see Jordan Davis play quite a bit.
It's a game day here on Birds 365. You got your Mac guys, John McMullen and Jody McDonald. We are joined by former All-American wrestler, or maybe it was All-State, maybe it was All-Division. How awarded were you, Mr. Kracz, during your grappling days?
Well, it's really testing my memory there, but I had my moments. I was pretty good.
I think he lost to Kurt Angle in the Olympic qualifiers.
Yeah.
That's never had a match with Wardlow. I'd take you over Wardlow because when you shook my hand,
Ed's not a pro guy, but Ed knows the amateur ranks.
Yeah,
and the what is it called? The when they break a tie, Ed. I love that word, and I can't think of it.
It's criteria.
Criteria. You got to go to the criteria.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second here. I know it's Birds 365. I know we got a game day to do. When you finish in a tie in wrestling, you go to the criteria. What the hell does that mean?
Well, I should point out if it's a team score tie, they go to criteria. If it's an individual bout against two guys, then you wrestle overtime. So you decide it on the map. But a team tie, they go to criteria. And real quick, we had to go to criteria H when I was head coach at one of the middle schools here. We were tied with another middle school, and it went to criteria H, which was most first points scored or something.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like the NFL playoff race.
Basically. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. The ref had the rule book out, and the coach and me were still like, who's going to win here? The boys are all standing around waiting to celebrate or waiting to be bummed out. And we ended up winning on criteria H.
All right, then here's where I know I'm going first. If it comes down to the tiebreaker between the Eagles and the Cowboys this year in the NFC East, if they have to go to criteria in the NFL, will the Eagles be good enough? That'll be divisional tiebreaker head-to-head, assuming they split with the Cowboys. Who's taking the tiebreaker in the NFC East this year, Ed Kracz?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You have to go with the Eagles, right? Just based on history of the NFC East. Nobody's won this thing back-to-back since the Eagles in 04 and 05. So in that situation, you probably go Eagles just based on the historical the history of the NFC East.
Trending in the NFC East as good a criteria as you could find. I like it, Ed Kracz. Good job.
Yeah. And I think criteria H this year in the NFL is best alternate helmets. So, so we'll bring in Jeff Kerr to decide who wins that.
Don't get me started on that stuff.
Let's stop talking about criteria. Let's get to game day. That's why you're here. Game day at Kracz. We got an actual game. The New York Jets coming down the turnpike. What are you looking forward to? First and foremost, give me a couple things.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see a game, to be honest with you. It's been 10 days of training camp practice, and it's been grueling with the heat, and I've had a blast covering the camp. I think it's been a very entertaining camp this year. There's a lot of new players to keep an eye on, so I've enjoyed it. But I have to admit, the last couple days of camp, it's like, okay, I'm ready for something new here, and I'm sure the players are. And now here we have something new tonight. The Jets are coming to town. I know it's only a preseason game, and we're not going to see a lot, but there are some guys on this Eagles team that I'm looking forward to seeing, especially the new guys. I want to see Nakobe Dean, who I expect is going to play a pretty good amount just because he doesn't have a starting role at this point. So I think he'll play quite a bit. I think we'll see Jordan Davis play quite a bit just to get him some reps, get him used to blocking against other guys. So I'm excited to see them. And then Cam Jurgens, of course, he's the other second round, the other draft pick came in the second round. I'm not sure, how much Nick's going to play him just because he's now running with the starters with Kelsey out. And, you don't want anything to happen to him. So he may exit the starting lineup.
That's Jody's path, too. I'm kind of like, I got to get him ready just in case. That's an interesting decision by Nick Sirianni. I'm going to be interested to see how he handles that.
It is. So, I'm looking for, and Reed Sinnett to me has really progressed almost daily.
Yeah.
In his play at quarterback. So I think he's going to play a lot of, you might see Hurts for a series, maybe 2. I think he played 10 snaps in the preseason last year. So that's probably what we can expect this year. And then I think Minshew will come in and maybe take it through the rest of the half. And then you're going to see Reed Sinnett, I think, play a quarter and a half and then bring in Carson Strong for a couple late series in the fourth quarter. But I really am kind of interested to see how Reed Sinnett looks because he's looked good in practice. Now let's see if he can translate it into
Yeah.
All right, Ed, one of the things I want to watch tonight, and it's probably over talked about here on Birds 365, is the fact that the Eagles have had all preseason leading up to tonight's game a less than physical offseason.
Yeah.
That they believe in less is more. We're not going to push the players. We're not going to tackle to the ground. Oh, tonight, everyone should be tackling to the ground. This is 2 NFL teams against each other. Yeah, it's only preseason. Won't have any effect on the regular season standings. But players are out there to try and win themselves the job. Who is the Eagle guy that you will be watching? Because this guy's chomping at the bit. You can see it in practice. He wants to hit somebody. He wants to prove what kind of a hitter and physical player he is. And to be given a chance tonight because a team will be in an opposing jersey. Who's that guy for the Birds?
I'd probably say Marcus Epps, the safety. I think he's chomping at the bit. We saw him, knock. I thought Boston Scott was knocked out during practice. Epps hit him right as he was at the goal line, and Scott went down like he was, just like he was, like hit really hard, which he was by Marcus Epps. And he just laid there, and I thought he was unconscious. But I think that's what gave Boston Scott his concussion. We haven't seen Scott since. But Epps, to me, looks like he's ready to go out there, and his body is chiseled from owning that gym that he has out in California. That guy probably has a cot set up in the back room. He probably slept there, woke up, lifted, had something to eat, took a rest, got up, lifted some more. I mean, that's the way it looks with him. It looks like he just lived in that weight room. So I think he's chomping at the bit. He's a starter now. I think he wants to go out there and not try to do too much, just take what plays come to him. But I think when he gets an opportunity, he wants to lay somebody out.
Potential trades, Ed Kracz. How important is it for Jalen Reagor to show up tonight? Andre Dillard, and he's coming off the concussion. Who knows if he's even through the protocol? They were back at practice, Andre and Jordan, but they're still listed as limited because you have those weird concussion protocol rules. So who knows if they'll be on the field at all? But those potential, and Howie's known for those August trades, right?
Mm-hmm.
Might be somebody going out because they want to keep somebody. Might be somebody coming in, big back, something of that nature. Maybe an extra safety, maybe an extra tight end. How important is it for the Reagors and the Dillards of the world to have good preseasons?
Well, I think both Mailata and Dillard will get a series. I mean, yeah, they were listed as limited, but they were both out there taking some of the 11-on-11 teamwork during Wednesday's practice. So if they're doing that, I'm sure they're going to play. And, they might each play, one series. But still, I think Mailata will be out there when Hurts is out there. I don't think you're going to trust Hurts to be safe behind, LaRaven Clark, who may not play, but a left tackle like a Josh Sill, you're not going to run Hurts out there with the first team offense and put in some, far down the depth chart left tackle guy. So I think Mailata's going to play. He'll play with Hurts. When Hurts leaves, Mailata will leave, and then Dillard will come in for a series or two. And is it a big game for Dillard? I mean, I think teams know what Andre Dillard is at this point. He's been in the league for a few years. And, my take on trading him is I'm not really sure the Eagles should do that because who's your backup left tackle if Mailata goes down with some sort of an injury?
LaRaven Clark didn't open your eyes in camp this year, Ed Kracz?
When he was out, I shut my eyes a few times because I was concerned for Hurts with the pressure that was coming off the edge, even though they
maybe, who knows, maybe Coyote Awasika shows up. Maybe Jack Driscoll can play left tackle.
Well, then, Driscoll's been training at right tackle in case of Lane Johnson. So I think Dillard is kind of the play at left tackle. He's your backup, and he's a pretty good player. If you trade him, that really, really weakens that position, in my opinion. I mean,
but he's going to be gone next year. He's gone.
Well, then you address it next year. I mean, this year, though, I think you need Dillard on this team, and however much he plays or doesn't play. And then as far as Reagor goes, again, teams kind of know what he is. He's got that body of work. Now, yeah, he's had a pretty good camp. He seems like maybe the switch went on a little bit when we talked to him during the week. You know, he talked about, you know, he came in the best shape of his life, which was different. Remember, he flunked his physical when he came in last year. So, again, I think Reagor, they might try to trade. I'm pretty sure they're trying to trade him as we speak. But Howie just wants a lot for him. He's not going to give him away. I mean, this kid gives you some depth, just like Dillard does, if something were to happen to receiver. And by the way, we've seen injuries to receivers. Devontae Smith won't play. He's been on the shelf for the last week with a groin. Greg Ward has a toe injury. So already in camp, we've seen Eagle receivers go down. Zach Pascal didn't practice for a week because of the food poisoning that cost him 16 pounds. So, you know, we've seen it. If that happens in season, Reagor's a pretty good guy to bring in off the bench. So I would be surprised if they traded him. But if some team says, hey, we'll give you a conditional second that can become a first next year based on
that's not happening.
It's not happening, but that's that. Or maybe a conditional third becomes a second.
Yeah, maybe
that's probably not happening. I don't know. I mean, again, Howie's just not going to say, okay, give us a 5th round pick for him. I don't see that. I really don't.
All right. Sticking in that same motif, I've got a good crystal ball working here. The coin flip will go the Eagles' way. Coach Sirianni will defer because it's the only thing he knows how to do. So the Jets will get the ball first. The Eagles will get a 3 and out on defense. Who's dropping back to take that first punt tonight?
The first punt? I think I'm putting Britton Covey back there. I mean, that's why he's here. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can. I mean, listen, Reagor has returned. Again, you know what he can do in the punt return game. And, yeah, he's had a good camp and all, and he is the presumed starter at that spot. But I'm putting Britton Covey out there. And we've talked a lot about Covey. Very, very good camp. And they're not just going to keep him for his return skills. If he's going to make this team, he's going to have to show some pass catching skills out of the slot. Yeah. And he's shown that in camp. So I would put Covey back there. You know what you have in Reagor. Covey takes the first one, Reagor maybe the second. You flip-flop back and forth. But I'd come right out of the gate with Covey. Again, keeping that fire lit maybe under Jalen Reagor that, hey, you still have to go out and win the job here. You're not safe yet.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. The last practice, if it was any indication, they kind of whittled it down to Covey and by the way, he was also taking kick returns. So yes. I think we're going to see Jason Huntley as the kickoff returner and then Covey as the punt returner. I think we're going to see Covey. I think you're right, Ed, because a couple reasons. One, as you mentioned, they know what Jalen can do back there, but also he's going to get some burst team reps at receiver because Devontae's going to be out. So he kind of gets ramped up from that perspective. Now, who knows? Obviously, we're talking about 2 series, so it's not like a real game. But I think you're right. They want to evaluate Covey and see if he can do it. And he's got great quickness, man. But boy, what's the lightest weight category in amateur wrestling? Because he'd be in it. I mean, he is the smallest guy that you're ever going to see on an NFL football field. When I was talking to him, he said fans were asking if he was the kicker, which probably insulted Jake Elliott a little bit, although they're the same size. He is really, really small. So, I mean.
Yeah, but small guys can play in this league.
Yeah. I mean, well, Chip Kelly, what was Chip's quote? Big guys beat up little guys.
Yeah, so he would not be a fan of Britton Covey. But I think little guys can play in this league. Look, Boston Scott's a little guy.
No, he's not, though. He's short.
Well, he's short. Yeah, that's true.
But Boston is jacked.
Yeah.
He is jacked. I used to say that about Darren Sproles, too.
Yeah.
People would say Darren's small. Darren was the strongest guy in the team, pound for pound.
Yeah.
He was short. He was anything but small. His lower body was like a tank.
Yeah.
Covey is he's small everywhere.
All right. If you say Scott's powerful and he well built, which he is, but Covey is quick.
Yeah, he is.
Quick and
very
shifty.
quick.
So, if you're going to be short, you have to have something else going for you. Scott's got the power, he's got the bulk. Covey, to me, has the speed. the quickness, the shiftiness to make a mark in this league, or, you know, to be on a roster. And I think he'll be in the league this year. It may not be with the Eagles. I think it will be with the Eagles. I don't think if he shows in these games what he has shown in practice that the Eagles will be able to get him to the practice squad. I might be wrong. I fall in love with these guys, you know, the Paul Henrys, you know, Paul Turners rather. Oh. I think I still have a Henry Josie jersey from a few years ago.
Yeah.
You know, just I do have a soft spot for some of these undrafted guys that come in, and, you know, sometimes they just don't hit. But I think Covey can play in this league, and I think he will play in this league this year somewhere, and maybe it's here in Philadelphia. But as far as getting back to trading for a big back, John, I mean, we talked to Jamal Singleton this week, the running backs coach, and, you know, he was asked if he needs a big back, you know, and he says, you don't need a 240-pound guy, you know, he mentioned Scott. He said he's a powerful kid that, you know, he hits the hole, he knocks guys over, he's fast.
He didn't knock Marcus Epps over.
No, he didn't. You know, that was that's true. He did not.
Marcus lay in the wood.
They didn't think, he doesn't think they need a big back.
You know why I don't think – I actually agree with Jamal, who, you know, I'm a big fan of, but
yes.
Jamal Singleton, but the Eagles running back coach, run game coordinator. Well, actually Jeff Stoutland, but he's assistant head coach. So he's a big part of what the Eagles do. I agree with the sentiment, but for a different reason. The Eagles don't need a big back because their big back is Jalen Hurts. That's their big back. And that's their short yardage back. And that's a good short yardage back.
I hate it, though. I hate putting Hurts in that kind of jeopardy. I know that's part of his skill set, but I think you're going to hurt the kid. And we saw him get hurt late last season. Really,
he got hurt in the pocket, Ed. He got hurt in the pocket.
Yeah, but that happens, but I think you expose yourself when you're running the football. I mean, I like how he seems to be getting out of bounds when he's near the sideline. I know nobody's going to hit him, so that's the natural thing to do. We've seen him slide a couple times, which is good. He's working on that. But I hate using him as a featured back. I really do. You know, I think Sanders, Gainwell, and Scott are going to have to be the guys. And by the way, Jason Huntley has looked really good, I think, with his speed and his quickness in camp. We saw him have that about 60-yard run at the link on Sunday night. We're going to see him a lot tonight. We're going to see him a lot going forward. And he's a guy that has a real opportunity. I don't see the Eagles keeping more than 3 backs, though, but maybe he can play himself into that 4th spot. I don't know yet.
All right, Eddie, my crystal ball worked well for the coin toss and the 3 and out and the punt. And then it started to get a little bit hazy. Jalen Hurts jogs out onto the field. We know he's not going to play much, but we're glad to see him. Is it a given that the first play is going to be a slant to A.J. Brown? Because that's basically all they did all preseason long with slants to A.J. Brown again and again and again and again. We know they're boys. We know they're tight. We know they're simpatico. But chances are the rest of the league does too. How much will Jalen be able to spread the ball around in the 10 plays he's going to play tonight?
Well, I like the way that crystal ball's working because, that I would put money on that being the play. Is A.J. Brown, quick hitter slant. We've seen it, like you said, all through practice. What I'd really like to see is just him do that slant and then turn it up the seam and then chuck the ball as far as you can and try to hit him deep. But I think you're right. I think we're going to see a lot of A.J. Brown on the slant. It's not a lot, but, maybe of those 10 plays we might see Hurts, he'll throw to him 3 or 4 times.
And Dallas will get the other 3.
And Dallas, and maybe Gainwell gets one in the slot. Maybe Miles runs the ball a couple times, and then it's, take the helmet off and watch Minshew and company take the field. And but I like that. I think that's a good
over under. Let's say there's 1 or 2 series. Like if they go on a 10-play drive, I think that's it. I don't even think you get a second series.
Sure.
But let's say there's 10 plays. Over under, anybody else gets the ball in the passing game than Dallas Goedert or A.J. Brown. Would you take that? Would you take that prop and say somebody else is going to get it or no?
Man, just based on practice, we haven't seen a lot of these. I mean, Quez Watkins has had a few opportunities in practice. Zach Pascal,
he had a great last. He really showed up in that practice number 10.
Yeah, he did. I mean, listen, he lost 16 pounds, and to tell me how you're going to gain 16 pounds when you're working in this heat. You know, you're sweating, you know, you're losing weight as you practice. How are you going to regain that 16 pounds? I mean, I'm sure he hasn't done that yet. So I think they'll take it slow with him. So I wouldn't say him, but yeah, maybe I'd give Quez a reception. You know, if
maybe they'll try to prove something, throw it to somebody else. Maybe they hear us.
Yeah.
The only two players that get the stinking ball are AJ and Dallas.
I know, but I don't see why you get away from that once the game starts. You know, that's what you've been working on. Okay, let's see. You know, now they'll probably try to translate that to a game. And then maybe next week when they go to Cleveland, they'll work on something else or something a little bit different and then try to use that against the Browns in next Sunday's game. But right now, sure, I wouldn't bet too heavily against someone else getting it. If I had to, I'd probably say Quez Watkins maybe gets a target. Maybe they send him deep on the first play, see if he can get past the defense. So, but again, A.J. Brown's been, you know, the spearhead of what's taken place in practice, and Dallas Goedert has gotten his opportunity. So I can't see coming away from that.
All right, so neither one of you see the Eagles turning back the clock and doing what they did when Terrell Owens was added to the roster. First play, Donovan McNabb back the pass, 83 yards later. T.O. gets a touchdown in his first Eagle preseason game. You think it's going to be the slant, not the over the top. Ed's right, for over the top, but he doesn't necessarily think it's going to happen. Right. All right. Hey, my partner Johnny Mac's got to be euphoric because tonight we have a matchup between two CEO coaches. Robert Saleh of the Jets had turned over play calling, defense, offense, both as soon as he became Jet head coach. Nick Sirianni did it in season last year, which means Shane Steichen will be calling the plays tonight. What are you looking for out of Shane Steichen, if anything, Ed Kracz?
Well, I'm looking for efficiency in terms of getting the play in. I do not want to see any delay of the game calls, no matter what string is playing, third string, whoever. Let's get the play in on time. Give your quarterback time to come out of that huddle, read the defense. So that's incumbent on Shane to get that play in there. You know, I don't want to see any delay games or wasted timeouts because there's confusion. And listen, it's the first preseason game, so there might be some of that. But I want to see Shane have an efficient night calling the plays. If there's a delay of game or a wasted timeout, I don't want it to be his fault. I want it to be maybe a player's fault who doesn't know where he's lined up or where he's supposed to go. But I want to see Shane, you know, have that fluidity in getting the plays called out there.
Yeah, I asked Nick that the last time we talked about him. That, to me, is the most important part of a preseason game is the mechanics of the coaching staff.
Yep.
And are they screwing up? It's like a dry run for them, and it's important. It might not be sexy, but it's important because that 40 seconds goes quick, man. You got to have everything, all your P's and Q's. And that's one of the reasons I like CEO coaches because, you know, if you're just the head coach of the offense and not the head coach of the deep, and you have a head coach of the, like Jim Schwartz when he was here, I mean, yeah, you're a super offensive coordinator. You're a glorified, supercharged offensive coordinator. So I like the fact that Nick Sirianni has taken that route. Robert Saleh did it from day one. Brian Daboll's doing it with the Giants, taking that CEO approach, and Mike Kafka is going to call plays there, it looks like. So I think the league as a whole is starting to open up their mind that, hey, this job is bigger than calling the plays on offense. And I'm kind of happy that Nick Sirianni has realized that. I think that'll make him a better coach, but it also opens him up to some criticism, Ed, in that if the Eagles do struggle offensively, and, you know, people are going to bring up he was hired to be the play caller. They hired him, you know, this young offensive guy. Could there be blowback if things go in a negative direction?
Yeah, you mean if they start 2-5, they reevaluate?
Well,
it?
even struggling offensively, it doesn't have to be a terrible record. But if the defense is winning games and the offense continues to struggle and struggle and struggle, are people going to bring up, hey, Nick, you're supposed to be the offensive guy? Yeah, they're going to be pressure to take over that play calling back.
Sure, there could be. You know, he'll be asked about it if there's a change needed, of course. Yeah. But if you're winning games with your defense and your offense is struggling, they'll, you know, probably stick with it, try to correct what the issues are, and get better on offense. I don't think he's ready to give it up. I don't think he would be ready to give it up. I might be wrong, but there'll be pressure. There'll be questions if, the offense is struggling. But, let's get there first before we address that. But, I think I like him being a CEO coach as well. And Nick is, he likes to portray himself as this really good communicator. And he is a good communicator. He talked about it the other day. If you see me, and his word was fussing with some of the players and some of the coaches publicly in practice. He goes, that's just communication. If I'm getting angry, I'm a pretty fiery guy. I'm not angry. I'm just communicating. I'm just trying to get the communication down correctly. So he's a communicator. And I think as a CEO, you have to be a communicator, and he'll be on that sideline talking to players. He'll be an interesting watch tonight. Now that we know he's just the CEO, we can watch him on the sidelines in between commercial breaks and stuff. Who's he talking to? Is he talking to Shane? Is he talking to JG, the defensive coordinator, or the players? I'm sure he's going to be all over that sideline talking to guys.
All right, Eddie K, since we know, well, I shouldn't say we know, but it's highly unlikely that Grant Calcaterra is going to be playing tonight because he's been out of the lineup for over a week now, hasn't practiced, so I doubt highly they're going to throw him in, even if he's physically up to it tonight. That's one of the more interesting battles on this team for me is the tight end position. Dallas Goedert is starting. Dallas Goedert is not coming off the field very often, maybe 4 wide receiver sets every once in a blue moon, but you can split him out, and he basically becomes a wide receiver. But somebody else got to play tight end. Somebody else going to make this roster as a tight end if Dallas goes down in a game. When they do want to go tight end, it'll probably be Stoll in any blocking situation, but who is the second option as a pass-catching tight end for this Eagle team right now?
Well, it looks like this kid Noah's a guy.
Noah.
Yeah.
He was on my list, Ed Kracz.
He's on your list of 10. You can check that out on our site. John wrote, 10 players to watch tonight, and Noah's a guy is on that list. And he's shown up in camp. He's made some nice catches. He made a great one-handed stab on Wednesday. The crowd was like, whoa, ooh, and I was blocked by one of the assistants. I didn't see it, but apparently it was a good catch.
One-handed stab.
Yeah, one-handed, and the crowd really reacted to it. So, the fans, all 200 of them, however many are there. But, he's somebody that could play into this thing, Jody. But listen, if you're talking about a second tight end who's going to catch the ball, you've got enough weapons. You don't really need your second tight end to catch the ball. I mean, you already have Goddard, obviously Brown, Smith, Gainwell, or Sanders out of the backfield. Quez. I mean, he's the second tight end is down the list for receptions. They're not going to be sending Jack Stoll out into patterns if he's the guy. They're bringing him in.
Eddie, all it takes is one twist of the ankle, and then Dallas Goedert sitting up next to you in the press box.
You know what? You should maybe look at the Jets tight ends because they're loaded at tight end, and maybe at the 53. Maybe the Eagles are looking elsewhere for a backup tight end.
They could be, but Stoll has done a decent job catching the ball in camp, and we talked to him after one practice, and he said that's something he really focused on in the offseason was running his routes, trying to be more precise with them, working with his hands, trying to be as sure-handed as he can be. So, I'm confident in Jack Stoll. If you need him to run, he only had 4 catches last year. 5 or 6 targets. I mean, they hardly throw it to him. But if he does have to step up, 17 games is a long season, grueling season. There's going to be guys that's going to miss time. And Goddard has missed time. And he plays a position where he's going to get hit, obviously, could lead to concussion. So I'm confident in Stoll, though, to be perfectly honest. I think you're going to see.
I don't like that, Ed.
Well,
I look at the Jets. I look at Jody's Jets, and they signed C.J. Uzomah. They signed Tyler Conklin. They draft Jeremy Ruckert, who can't get on the field. I mean, that's the Jets. Everybody makes fun of the Jets, and they got at least 3 tight ends, and they might have more who, can really play. And we're talking about Jack Stoll. The Eagles got to get better at that backup tight end position. Now, I'm hopeful that Noah Tagai can get better. Maybe Tyree Jackson gets healthy. Maybe he can be in the mix. I like Jack Stoll as a blocker, but I mean, as a receiver, I don't know if we can expect that much. Am I being too harsh on Jack Stoll?
Well, I think he had 25 catches at Nebraska one year, so he can catch the ball. If you put him out in space, I think he can catch it. He did have a drop, I noticed in practice. Everybody's had a drop. But to be honest, those Jets guys you mentioned, those tight, I haven't heard of a single one of them. I mean, except for maybe the draft pick Rucker. Jody, he's wincing over there.
Well, Uzomah was on the AFC champions. He was, he was their starting tight end.
Bengals, from the Bengals.
Conklin caught, I don't know, 60 balls last year.
Yeah.
Those are proven guys.
Yeah.
Those are proven guys.
I'll give you a guy tonight who's going to make a catch in the game. It'll be an exciting catch because he's a good physical specimen. Was on the roster all last year, didn't really blossom the way I thought he would. Because, I'm stupid enough to watch preseason games for the Jets. Kenny Yeboah.
Kenny Yeboah. See? Yeah, Kenny Yeboah. I remember Kenny Yeboah from practice last year, actually.
Right. Yeah, you're the dual practices. Exactly. Yeah. He's on the roster again, but as John pointed out, they went out and got additions at tight end, so he's a guy who's going to have a tough time making the roster. Yeah, keep an eye on him tonight, Eddie Kracz, and you can say, hey, I heard on Birds 365, Kenny Yeboah could be a guy who could land on the Eagles practice.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
on the flip side of that is with these Hall of Fame tight ends that the Jets have, that's going to be a good test for this defense to try to stop these guys.
That's true.
Area
they can't stop tight ends
last year, and they have Kaiser White who won't play much. But now you're going to look at Nakobe Dean. Can he cover Davion Taylor? You're gonna have to try to stop these Hall of Fame, these gold jacket guys. Now it's
going Tyler Conklin.
Take your shots, Kracz. All right, fine. I'll remember that. You don't think I'll remember that?
He's already getting tailored. He's already getting tailored for the gold jacket. Tyler Conklin.
When the Jets have more completions to their tight ends this year, now nobody's gonna have more than Goddard, but when you put all of the Jets, the depth position, it is tight end for the New York Jets together this year, and they have more catches than the Eagle tight ends. Yeah, we'll reference back to this at some future day.
Sure, and listen, tight ends are a young quarterback's best friend, right? I mean, it would be very wise for the Jets offense to run some plays for Zach Wilson.
But see, that's not the case with the Jets quarterback. Tight ends aren't his best friend. His mother's friend is his best friend, the Jets quarterback.
That's a good point. It's been a good off season for
it's been a great off season.
I don't know how well he's done at camp, but he's had a good off season.
I like this Elijah Moore too. I do know some Jets.
I got who'd they draft, Jody?
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
you'll see Garrett Wilson tonight. You'll get plenty of time.
The Jets all of a sudden have some weapons on the offensive side of the ball, so we'll see. Now I meant the wide receiver tone. They did get Sauce Gardner, but they got Garrett Wilson as well. So the Jets are adding significant talent.
Yeah, they got Nate Herbig, right? They picked up Nate Herbig.
Nate Herbig, and remember, we talked about him up at Blue Street here, Jermaine Johnson. As a potential edge guy that the Eagles could have interest in the draft. The Jets ended up getting him at the bottom of the first round.
What happens when you're so bad and you get 3 first-round picks, you get some talent. Same with the Giants. So maybe things are turning a
He's
little
no Vinny Curry, though. He's no Vinny Curry yet.
And Vinny's trying to make a comeback. We talked about that yesterday. Had an awful rare blood disorder. Had to have his spleen removed. But
he's such a good guy.
He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
Hasn't been in practice. Brian Costello told us yesterday he's had a hamstring. So probably a long shot, but we're rooting for Vinny. Last one for me, Ed. Follow him on Twitter at KratzESI.com/NFL/Eagles. Defense. We haven't talked about the defense. I'm kind of excited for this reason about the defense. People are finally going to get to see the base defense, and they can stop talking about 3-4. Is it a 3-4? Is it a 4-3? They're going to get to know what a 5-2 overhang is with Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat and the 3 guys in the interior. My buddy at Honest NFL, I'm going to give him a plug. Former scout on Twitter. You can follow him there. Does great work. But he has a good thread this morning explaining what the Eagles' base defense is. So everybody should go look at that. And they're going to go see it for the first time tonight. What are you excited to see from that defense from a perspective? They have so many new additions. Reddick, Davis. We mentioned Dean a little bit. Bradbury has had a tremendous camp. All these new additions. Who are the most excited you are to see?
Well, again, it'll be a limited role, but Hassan Reddick, I would love to see. You know, as much as we talk about A.J. Brown being the big add on offense, Hassan Reddick has been that on the defense. But again, he's not going to play a whole lot. And, you know, we talked to Hassan Reddick in the mixed zone the other day. It was just the three of us talking to him. Everybody was consumed with Derek Barnett and his one and two answers. No, I don't think that up. There was someone else in the tent. And there was only three. So Reddick was talking about, and he says that JG and Jeremiah Washburn come to him and ask him what he likes to run. What should they be calling for him that he's comfortable with? And I asked him, do you ever say, hey, man, I want to drop into coverage? That's what I want to do on this play. Because we made the big deal. Is he going to drop back or is he going to rush? And, he said, listen, he goes, I understand why they want me to drop. He goes, because there are other things that come off of that. And I'm thinking blitz. I think we're going to see him drop into coverage, and maybe they bring a safety on a blitz, another linebacker. Yeah, the zone blitz, or maybe the quarterback's confused and Reddick's covering a tight end on a quick pass and you're blitzing somewhere else and he throws it right to Reddick for a pick. So I don't think we're going to see that tonight. I think JG is going to play it pretty close to the vest. They don't want to give away too much, obviously, but we've seen some safety blitzes at practice and camp. Maybe we'll see one or two of those, but somebody asked me if I thought they were going to blitz more this year. And yes, I think they will. I know he doesn't like to, but he's got the personnel now to do it. And I think we'll see some of that as the season goes on, not necessarily tonight. But to answer your question, I would say Reddick, I'm excited to see. I want to see Marcus Epps in a short role. I want to see Nakobe Dean. Again, I think Nakobe Dean's going to play a significant number of snaps because when the season starts, I'm not sure how many he's going to see. So this is his time to kind of sharpen his skills, learn the speed of the NFL game and whatnot. So Nakobe Dean's another guy I'm pretty pumped to see tonight.
All right, Ed, two-part question to close it out, a prediction as part of it. Number one, what will the Eagles be putting out as far as the spread goes tonight, pregame eats for you guys? And number two, who gets there first, you or McMullen?
Well, John's notorious for getting there before I am.
Well, it depends. If you know what the start time is, you might beat me. If you think it's a 4:30 game, Ed might be there.
All right. You can't ever live that down. A couple years ago, Jody, I showed up for the New Orleans Saints were in town, and I thought it was a 1:30 or 1 o'clock kick, and it was 4:30. So I get there at 10:30, and I'm like, man, there's nobody here.
Nobody here.
I sit down, and so I realize, oh, man,
I got a long day.
What time is the food coming out? I'm going to be eating a lot of it. I got a lot of time. But no, John's usually, when I walk in, usually to the press row, John's already there. He's got a full plate. I think it's even got some donuts on it for dessert. Already moved on.
Giving away all my secrets, Ed. Yeah. I don't like traffic, so I'm going to be there early.
Yeah, man, you consistently. So anyway, I don't know what they're going to serve. I think, hopefully it's more than just the soft pretzels they had at the open practice at the link, because I need more.
Exactly. Both of you guys need more.
I'm going to look into your crystal ball, Jody, and I'm going to say cheesesteaks. That's what they're going to pop
Very
out.
Nice. All right. Enjoy. Eddie, thanks, buddy. We'll get you up again next week. Have a good time tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Hey.